Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock. Colin Cowherd's out today, but I'll tell you why Eli Manning should want out of New York and why I have no problem with Jerry Jones caping up for Ezekiel Elliott. Speaking for yourself starts now. Starts next or does it start now?
It starts.
It's starting. All right. Hello and welcome. I'm joined today by Doug Gottlieb, Eric Davis, and Eric Dickerson. Let's start in Dallas, where Jerry Jones has addressed the suspension of Ezekiel Elliott, which was reinstated yesterday by the NFL after an appeals court set aside the injunction that had been blocking the suspension for the past 5 weeks. Not surprisingly, Jerry was not happy about the decision.
The question was ultimately going to be, does he have to follow in practice a fair way? And so Zeke and his team and the Cowboys do not think that it was done in a fair way. I'm very familiar with all of the facts and the details of this case. Very familiar. Zeke did not get treated fairly here.
All right, so we got Jerry Jones doubling down. Ezekiel Elliott, in his opinion, not treated fairly. A lot of people would think this is going to sound tone deaf. It's going to sound like Jerry doesn't know what he's talking about. A lot of people are going to start, is Jerry's caping up for Zeke? Is that hurting his reputation? I don't think it is, because I think this is his reputation. He defends players to the hilt. I think, given this national anthem controversy, he has almost no choice but to defend Ezekiel Elliott in this case. You've got people upset with him, players on his own team, about the way he's put this hardline stance down about the national anthem. Jerry's reminding everybody, but I also put a hardline stance down about I will defend you and defend you and defend you no matter what people want me to do. I don't think it hurts his reputation at all.
I don't think it hurts his reputation. The only reputation that can get hurt with more information coming out would be Zeke, because he's the one involved. Jerry Jones is taking care of one of his players. He said he's been informed of the information, and he believes that there is a case for Zeke. So I can't get upset with him for doing that. And this right here, you mentioned the national anthem stance and the way he came down on his players. This right here is another sign of that's who this guy is. He's trying to take care of one of his players like they are his children. Even his comments on the national anthem and what he told his players are him trying to take care of them. I think in his mind, if you listen to the comments, like, these guys need consequences. They need to be told what to do. He's treating them like his children. That's what Jerry does to his players. So defending him, I'm not upset with him for defending him if he thinks it's true.
Jerry's always been that guy. One thing you can say about Jerry Jones when it comes to his players, he's not two-faced. He's going to stand up for you all the way to the hilt. You know, sometimes you say he's loyal to a fault. But as a player, you want an owner that's loyal to the fault, that's going to come to stand up for you. One thing about the NFL is, in our judicial system, you're innocent till proven guilty. In the
NFL.
In the NFL, you guilty till you prove yourself innocent. I don't understand. I just don't understand it.
Look, I'm like anybody, like any human being. You know, you're sensitive to the idea that a man can abuse a woman. On the other hand, you can actually look at the facts that have been revealed in this case, or at least some of them, and have some second thoughts about just how guilty Ezekiel Elliott is. He wasn't charged with a crime. And the fact is, there is some information. Look, the bad part about our country or about our judicial system is somebody accuses somebody else of domestic violence and we go after her credibility, right? They're not going after her credibility as a person. They're going after her credibility within the context of this case. And so I do think that one of the reasons that he's putting his equity out there, even though it does come across as tone deaf to people, is he really, really believes Ezekiel Elliott. And he always defends his player. Like, there's a lot of shady stuff in here. Look, Zeke is not going to come out smelling like a rose because of some of the facts which were revealed in the investigation, which were made public outside of this. But within the context of, did he hit her, did he abuse her, I'm not totally sure that he did, and I think Jerry Jones is pretty convinced he did not, and he likes to defend his players.
You know, your mom would say, you know what? You got away with that, but I'm going to whoop you for that one you did 2 weeks ago. That's almost what the NFL is doing. They're going back and they're punishing Zeke for possibly things he did before. Because when you read the report, what she said, who are they going to believe? A black man or a white girl? I'm going to ruin your career. I mean.
And the other part of this, I think, is what Doug is touching on. for Jerry to come out, whenever you're talking about domestic abuse, if for anyone to sit down and say that, okay, the person being accused, that possibly they're trying to get them in any kind of way, then it seems like you are standing up for this person and you are okay for what could have possibly happened. And that makes it tough on Jerry. That makes it tough on anyone who's trying to say, look at the other side of it.
It's been an incredible season for Jerry and the Cowboys in the sense they're right in the middle of the national anthem controversy. Jerry Jones is right in the crosshairs. Now this comes back up, which puts him right back in the crosshairs again. Jerry, among football players, I think is very popular. I think Jerry among television executives and football people is popular. But fans, and particularly the way the media is right now, this defending Zeke will not be very popular, puts Jerry further in the crosshairs. Again, I remember a year or two ago when there were pictures of Jerry with young girls somewhere. Again, they're digging through Jerry's trash right now and trying to figure out something because, again, football players happy with Jerry. I think the media not so happy with Jerry. He's taking some risk here by continuing to defend Zeke. I happen to agree with him, but he's taking some real risk. Jason Whitlock here, and before the show moves along, I want to tell you about a great new way to look good, Bombfell. Bombfell is an easier way for men to get better clothes. You complete a simple questionnaire and then you are matched with a one-on-one personal stylist. Bombfell never charges above retail price and offers free shipping and returns. We all know what a pain it is to go shopping, fighting the traffic and parking to get to the mall. Bombfell makes it possible to not shop and still look great. It's fully personalized. Your stylist will email you your selections, and then you can make any changes you want. You can pause or cancel at any time. Here's how simple Bombfell makes it to look good. You sign up, you tell them what clothes you want. Your stylist will put together your clothing picks in an email. Cancel or change anything you don't like. If you like what you see, Bombfell will ship your clothes within 48 hours. And they have a special offer for listeners of this podcast. Go to bombfell.com/speak and you will get $25 off your first purchase. That's BOMBFELL.com/speak for $25 off your first purchase. Bombfell, open and close. All right, let's move to Charlotte, where the Eagles toppled the Panthers last night. Cam Newton had been hot coming into the game, but struggled for much of the night and wasn't able to capitalize on multiple comeback opportunities, down less than a touchdown in the final minutes. Here's the quarterback after the game.
A game like that, you just have to protect the football better, and I'm mostly talking to myself with that. We just got to communicate better offensively, to be on the same page, and when we do that, I think the outcome is better. But the fact that that's a great team, or a good team that we're playing, playoff caliber football, and I think that was our first dose of that, and we will be better from it.
All right, Cam was terrible down the stretch with a passer rating of just 26 on the final two drives of the game, but I don't fully blame him for that loss. Again, now I do. Look, you got two opportunities to win the game, and you don't do it. That's on the quarterback, and Cam was terrible. But before that, his offensive line was as bad as anything I've seen in the National Football League.
Thank you. Didn't they used to be able to run the football? Like 2 years ago when they dominated the NFC, they used to be able to run the football.
And that's because Cam was a major part of that run game. And you texted me last night, like, if Cam's not doing it, it's not happening.
No, if there's no threat of Cam running, there's nothing there. Every time he handed the ball to a running back, there was a defensive lineman in the backfield meeting that running back. I was just blown away at how bad their offensive line was. I didn't think the supporting cast, Jonathan Stewart with that interception he gave away was horrible. Christian McCaffrey, to me, looks overrated. I don't know what all the extra pieces are that were supposed to help Cam look good, and it just sounds like I'm making excuses, but from the coaching staff to the offensive line, I didn't like any of it.
Okay, and let's go to the flip side of the ball, defensively. Now, I know you lost Luke Kuechly, and that changes some things, but The go-ahead touchdown, you got a spread formation. You got a linebacker covering the wide receiver. That's taking candy from a baby. So, I mean, you have to start game planning to put your guys in a better position because there are very few linebackers that are going to line up in space and cover wide receivers in those situations. So that's just a bad defensive call. And you had a couple of times where you put the defense in those type situations. There's got to be better.
Well, when you rush the ball 13 times as a running back crew and gain 1 yard, that ain't much. I mean, the leading rusher on that football team was Cam Newton, and that can't happen. I mean, and you're right, when they were putting so much pressure in his face, and for a quarterback, I'm not a quarterback, but you know, when you stand and watch a quarterback, he can't throw because the guy's in his face. I mean, it's not his fault. And one thing, as a team, you win as a team and you lose as a team.
You know, like, that sounds good, and all of these comments are accurate. Their offensive line was bad. They can't run the football. And by the way, the Philadelphia Eagles, pretty good.
Yeah.
And getting after them with only 4 guys, they're pretty good. But in this league, how many times have we seen the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Bradys, the Drew Brees, the elite quarterbacks, everything, the house is burning down, and somehow, end of the game, they get the football, and they lead you down the football field, and they get you a touchdown against a 2-minute drill defense. And we didn't see that against Cam. This game gave us everything we know about Cam Newton. Some spectacular throws, some wildly erratic throws, some unbelievable runs, some times in which you're like, should he stay in the pocket? Should he get out of the pocket? I don't think his team played particularly well and helped him, but if there's a pie, there's a big chunk of pie of blame that goes to Cam Newton.
Okay, now you said those things that we discussed happened, but I think those things happened and. So I agree with you, and they had a bad night. They played poorly. To say that Cam can't lead his team in those type of situations, I don't think that's accurate because he's done it before.
Did I say can't or did I say didn't? If I said can't, I'm mistaken.
Oh, no, you
didn't would be more appropriate. He didn't last night. And remember, this is also the first top 10 defense they faced all year. He said the first playoff caliber. That's not really true, okay, because they played New England. I think they're a playoff team.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he played very well. Bad first
Detroit.
Bad first 3, good the next 2. Erratic at best, probably bad last night. My point only is that, look, I'm not casting all blame. I'm not wanting it's all on him. But there's a good amount on him when he had 2 opportunities late at home and didn't take advantage.
I agree with your point, Doug. I felt last week when we talked about the Thursday night game, I talked about Jameis Winston looking like a guy that couldn't play without the 3 extra days of preparation. That looked like a football team from coaching on that needed those 3 extra days. Philadelphia looked far better coached on both sides of the football.
Yeah, they didn't look prepared last night.
Carolina's defense had it was getting pass rush pressure. I don't know what was going on in the back end because Carson Wentz and those receivers were getting anything they wanted. They just looked completely unprepared across the board, and that's on the entire organization.
Listen, I know this segment's about Cam, but we also run the risk of that might be the last time we see Luke Kuechly this season. He missed 6 games with a concussion last year, missed time, and this is a tremendous football player, and that didn't look like a terribly hard hit, but he is so sensitive to it that another concussion, I don't know if we see that.
Kuechly is saying he's okay and he'll be fine, but we'll have to wait and see on that. To New York, where things have gotten so bad for the winless Giants that some people are suggesting it might be time to trade Eli Manning. The quarterback didn't sound entirely opposed to the idea, saying, quote, "You always want to come to a place and make an impact, stay in one spot." And I think that's always the mindset. I hope that will be the case, obviously. In this league, things can change, and if we have to make decisions, we'll figure it out. Listen, if Eli Manning can get himself out of New York, he should be trying everything in his power to get to Denver, where his brother won a Super Bowl, to get, hell, I would go to Jacksonville, where they have a pretty good defense. Get out of New York and that dumpster fire that Ben McAdoo and the Giants have going on. Look, Joe Montana left San Francisco, Brett Favre left Green Bay. This whole scenario, or this whole playing in one city, it just doesn't carry the weight that it used to have. Get out and get you a 3rd Super Bowl if you can, because that may be the only way he gets into the Hall of Fame.
Plus, he's got Coughlin, who believes him in Jacksonville. And if they can win a couple of games with Blake Bortles as their quarterback. Did you know they called 21 plays last week in the second half? 19 of them were runs. That's how much they believe in Blake Bortles as quarterback with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're like, anything but have him throw the football. So you have Leonard Fournette. You have at least a formidable defense. And there's no chance.
Wide receivers.
There's no chance that they win this week in Denver. He has no healthy wide receivers. They have the worst run game in the 30th in rushing in the National Football League. And I almost fear for his health. That offensive line is putrid, and now you have nobody to throw to. Get the hell out of New York and go to Jacksonville, where even if you just get him to the playoffs, you'll be a hero, let alone get to the Super Bowl.
Eli, stay in New York.
I say.
Stay in New York, man.
Why?
Why would he leave New York? Why? First of all, he's 36 years old. Everyone, all of us, for some reason, everybody thinks that quarterbacks are going to start playing until they're 45 now, since Brady
What
said
did
it.
his brother do?
That's his brother. You mentioned his brother. You mentioned Favre and Brady. Those guys are special. Eli's a good quarterback. He's not those guys, okay?
I know, but you have to have guys around you.
Well, he's at the end. He's had a good run. He's at the end. Finish up and be the king of New York. You brought them 2 Super Bowls.
But that's not how New York works.
And
you can't be the king when you're on your back.
Stay in New York. I mean, look, they're going to probably, if they could get the #1 draft pick. They could possibly get Sam Darnold. He could learn from Eli. Who knows?
Eric,
you
went 1-15. You know what that feels like.
I know, but in Indianapolis, not New York.
Not New York.
New York.
Exactly.
That's different.
Eric,
That's different.
I just moved here from New York. You don't want to be 1-15 in New York.
Oh, I know that.
It is however miserable it might have been in Indianapolis to be 1-15. It is 15 times as miserable to be 1-15.
But it's just say hypothetically, Jim Harbaugh would go to New York.
Who's the best quarterback? Who's the best quarterback in New York's history?
Joe
History of New York?
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath.
No, Giants. That's what I'm sorry.
Why Tittle?
Okay, and that's where I would have gone.
Sims.
So how long do you have to go back? Who remembers Y.A. Tittle other than the people that are football historians? The New York remembers him
Nobody's
more
gonna
so than
forget-
Phil Sims.
Nobody's going to forget him. Listen, they
won
have
2 Super Bowls.
Hold on.
That's what I'm saying. Stay there. Finish up.
They're not
there.
going to forget that. Look, they have Denver.
Why wouldn't you?
They have Denver.
Act like he never left San Francisco.
They have Denver. They have L.A. They have
I wasn't the
Seattle. They're
quarterback.
not going to win
I wasn't the quarterback.
That's the face of the franchise.
They're going to be, guys, they're going to be 0-8. They have Denver, they have Seattle, they have L.A. Tell me where the wins are. They have no talent for him to work with.
Y'all act like planes don't fly to New York. Y'all act like if he goes to Jacksonville for a year or two,
wants to go to
he can't
Jacksonville?
move back to
He's
win games. You know,
Man,
it's
you ain't
only
gonna win. It's gonna take-
only until
Wait.
January.
This man, he's 36 years old.
Yes.
He ain't 30.
To go learn a new system.
Getting out of your comfort zone late in your career is a good thing. And remember, if this is his last rodeo, get to the playoffs. The most likely avenue to the playoffs is Jacksonville. With Blake Bortles as their quarterback, they're in first place.
Let me give you one more. Let me give you one. How important is it being in the Hall of Fame?
It's important.
Very important.
Very important. Yeah.
His resume is shaky for the Hall of Fame. He goes someplace else and wins and steals the Super Bowl the way his brother did. He now is a guaranteed Hall of
He's
Fame.
got 2 Super Bowls.
If was a
Jim
fifth,
Plunkett has
you know
2.
what?
He's sitting at home.
If was a
He
fifth,
wasn't in
we'd
New
all
York
be
doing
drunk. That's the thing.
Huh?
If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. That's no guarantees that's gonna happen.
No,
so
but
he say he goes to Jacksonville, and say he goes up there and stinks it up there. Now what?
Now what?
Now what?
Hold on, wait. Where Johnny Unitas ended his career? Wasn't it San Francisco or San Diego? Like they all end up one last outpost, right? O.J. Simpson was San Francisco.
Right.
Johnny Unitas was San Diego.
Joe
they all
Namath went someplace.
They all try one last go, and it didn't hurt them.
They were great in the beginning. I mean, I think at Eli, they were all like, I'm not sure. You want a Super Bowl? Okay. But I don't know.
understand, but you just proposed to us they could get the #1 pick. Do you think Eli Manning wants to stay in New York on a bad team and then raise his heir apparent to take his job the way he did from Kurt Warner?
Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he?
Because that's not how the Mannings are wired.
How do you know?
Because I know everybody knows how the Mannings are.
They want to win.
They want to win.
I think
Everybody wants to win.
He wants to win in New York.
York, right.
That's right, but it's not happening. They're not winning in New York. Tell me when they're winning in New
We
York.
gotta go.
He ain't
These
gonna win
guys
in
are crazy.
Jacksonville either.
These guys moved every time there was a new check, and Eli can't move for a ring. All right, welcome back. Doug Gottlieb, Eric Dickerson, Eric Davis are back. Let's move to Kansas City, where my Chiefs welcome Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. Pittsburgh has had no shortage of problems this year, from conflict over the national anthem protest to Antonio Brown sideline meltdown, and Big Ben is fresh off a 5-interception game against Jacksonville. But there may be a light at the end of the tunnel for Big Ben. Ben has been dominant against the Chiefs, going undefeated while completing 70% of his passes with a passer rating of 111. Even still, I just don't see it. I do not see it this week against these Chiefs. And keep in mind, Big Ben, for the last 10 years, probably my favorite player. He's from the Mid-American Conference. He plays like John Elway, my favorite quarterback of all time. I love Big Ben. There's a problem here that I just don't think he's going to shake it off. I think he's got one foot in the game and an eye looking to get out of the game. I think he's like Richard Sherman. And Sherman, actually, I think has been playing pretty good from my eyes. But they're handling themselves in the media right now to set themselves up for a media career when it's over. Big Ben has a foot in the game, a foot out of the game. He talked about retirement during the offseason. I don't think he's going to shake it off against the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. I don't see a big bounce back.
Well, I think he'll shake it off because he can't play worse than he did last week. There's no way that he's going to regress from that. Okay, he's not throwing 6. All right, so he will play better. But I do agree with you that once you start thinking about retiring in this sport, you've already retired. You have to be all in. You can't be thinking about the next thing because it starts to affect your play, and the bad can start to grow and snowball. And I think that's the case with some of the things that are happening with Pittsburgh this season. They got a quarterback that all offseason was saying he probably wouldn't come back. So guys start to question when things go wrong.
You know, it's certain teams you have their number. For when I played with the Rams, the Patriots had our number. Even they wasn't good, they could still beat us. Beat us with a Hail Mary. Last play of the game. How? Redskins, another team, had our number. You know, Big Ben seems to have Kansas City's number. I mean, he's done very well against them. And like you said, I don't think he can play no worse.
He can't.
I mean, they need to run the ball more with Le'Veon Bell. I mean, you've got to do that. You just can't, and you can't just try to throw the ball solely. I think last week he tried to make up to Antonio Brown when the week before he didn't throw the ball to him. He tried to stick it in too many times. Hey, it comes to the point like, hey, dog, I ain't gonna throw to you as much, so just be ready for that. So
that's the problem with those big contracts and the big egos of wide receivers. It happened with Calvin Johnson at times in Detroit. We saw it with Randy Moss. Dante Culpepper used to try and gun the ball into him. And you brought up their dominance over the Chiefs. When they beat him in the playoffs and they didn't score a touchdown, Le'Veon Bell had 170 yards rushing, right? This is a running team that has some weapons outside. But I would agree with you. I think he set himself up for a media career. I think a lot of these quarterbacks in their 30s are like, damn, Tony Romo, he didn't even win a Super Bowl. He could barely win a playoff game, and he's in the big chair at CBS like, that should be me. So I think there's some jealousy there. And I think Ben has always been a search for a compliment guy. I don't know if I have it anymore. No, Ben, you're good enough. You're smart enough. People like you. So I think there's a lot of things working, but this team's a mess, guys. It just is. You brought up the controversies, brought up the lack of running game. Le'Veon wasn't there, didn't get the contract that he wanted. There's a lot of stuff there. I don't think that he improves. I think the play calling improves, but I still think they get beat because Kansas City's just a better football team.
I think Pittsburgh and the Steelers are a microcosm of what's going on in the NFL with a lot of teams. A lot of selfish behavior. And I think we go back to what Nate Boyer was talking about and about sports being a unifier and bringing people together. I think our culture, the overall culture, makes it harder to bring people together, and it's most evident within the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll share this bit of insight about the Kansas City Chiefs, the 5-0 Kansas City Chiefs. From what I've been told, Andy Reid addressed the national anthem controversy last year and has never said another word about it. The Chiefs haven't had one meeting about it. No one's been instructed about what stand, sit, the big weekend when everybody got upset with Donald Trump. Chiefs didn't say a word about it. Guys just did what the hell they wanted to do. Somehow they've ignored this controversy. Marcus Peters, you want to sit down and be a spectacle of yourself? No one cares. We're just playing football. Whereas the Pittsburgh Steelers engulfed by this controversy because Antonio Brown, he's a selfish guy. Le'Veon Bell wants to get paid. Big Ben is starting to look at his post-career and upset about the play calling. They got a hot mess in Pittsburgh, and a lot of teams do, but it's just most acute here.
Well, this is the only thing I have to say to take up for the guys that are playing today. This isn't the first time. This era right here, this season right here isn't the first season where guys wanted their money. where guys wanted to get paid, where guys, and you can call the guys selfish. If I played with guys that would go at coaches that wanted the ball every single time. I know defensive players that wanted their money. I know defensive players that literally
don't want to get paid. You don't play. You play because you love the game.
That's not what I'm saying. But guys used to put it aside, get into the
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. You didn't have Twitter. You didn't have Twitter.
Right. Matter of fact, you know what? You give me your check. You give me your. I'm gonna take your check this month. Don't you worry about it. You don't want to get paid.
Been a part of
it.
All right, welcome back to the show. Doug Gottlieb and Eric Davis are back. We're joined now by the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to Michael Jordan, who gave an interview to Cigar Aficionado magazine this week. And in addition to revealing he's now smoking 6 cigars a day,
damn, wow,
he also offered some strong opinions on super teams, saying, quote, I think super teams are going to hurt the overall aspect of the league from a competitive standpoint. You're going to have 1 or 2 teams that are going to be great and another 28 teams that are going to be garbage, including, I guess, the non-super team that Jordan owns, the Hornets. Look, I think this is a bad look for the NBA. You got the greatest player in the NBA, an owner in the NBA. There's no stronger voice on the NBA, maybe other than Charles Barkley, and we expect Charles to say crazy things. But I tend to agree with Jordan that I just don't think this super team thing is good for the league, and this is a bad look for Michael Jordan to be giving voice to that.
Why not? There have always been super teams. I mean, the only bad look is for Mike to say this, and he's saying that you don't like super teams. Well, he was the super team, okay? You think about it. He had 3 Hall of Famers on his squad. In the 80s, Magic, that was a super team. Magic, Kareem, Worthy, that's a super team. You go to Bird's teams, those are super teams. You go back to Wilt's teams. You go back to Russell's teams. There have always been super teams in the league. But it's funny now that the guys who were on those teams are saying we never would have done that.
How many combined losses did the Cavs and the Warriors have going into the finals in the playoffs?
I'm sure you're about to tell me.
1. That's not competitive. So he's not wrong here. Now the problem is he's talking about his own. He's talking about, hey, my team sucks, and so does 27 others. Look, the small market owners are ticked about this thing. They're ticked about the Paul George thing. The converse argument to it is, hey, look what it's done to Oklahoma City, to Houston. They've reinvigorated themselves. They've reformulated themselves to be competitive. But based upon last year, it was a foregone conclusion those 2 teams were going. The playoffs were non-competitive, not interesting, not well-watched, and he's not wrong.
Yeah. Except for the fact that when Jordan played, it was a foregone conclusion. He was going to the finals in the 90s.
That's not true.
Every year he was in the 90s, he went to the finals. 3 straight, retired, came back, 3 straight. Anyways, my problem here is with Michael Jordan. This is a jealous man who's upset that he can't get a super team. He can't get an interview. And he can't get an elite star to even think about going to Charlotte, okay? This is sour grapes from Jordan and Charles Barkley, who keep yelling that the Warriors are jump shooting teams and the current NBA's garbage. They want to just protect their legacy from the 80s and 90s. That's what they've been doing. I've been writing this on The Big Lead. I said it on my radio show. The current NBA right now, Doug, I believe it is firmly better than what Michael Jordan played in the 80s and 90s.
When he went on his second run, like, look at the teams that they played in the finals. They played the Trailblazers 1 year, the Suns 1 year, the Sonics 1 or 2 years, Jazz 2 years. They didn't play the same team every year.
I know.
Okay, and
but they were, that's what I said.
They were the super team.
They were the super team.
They were pushed to the limit, but they had the Cavs were competitive, the Knicks were competitive.
They beat everyone. They
had to go through the Celtics and the Pistons in order to get there. There was more than just 2 teams.
But listen to what you're saying. They had to go through these teams. They did. They were the super team.
Yeah, nobody
that's what he's saying.
His point, though, is not only did the Warriors and Cavaliers get through, they eviscerated their competition. It was non-competitive.